Okay, so really interesting, like, epiphany or realization kind of popped into my head, but it's kind of been like jumping around in there for a little bit anyway. But now everything that's going on in the media kind of like popped it into my head a little more. So, okay, so if anybody looks back at previous posts that I have posted in regards to masonry, now I told you that that was a big gang. A lot of people, a lot of elite members, higher ups, government officials, officers are in this gang, right? Now, this gang is a cult. It's a cult. No matter what anybody says, it's not like a social group that's gonna benefit you. It's a cult. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you know. And you're in the group, that means you're not worth enough to them for them to let you into what's really going on behind closed doors. You're not at level yet. Anyhow, so what I think was, I'm curious to know if anybody knows, does P. Diddy have any ties to Masonry? Now, if he has any ties to Masonry, right, what the thought that popped into my head was, I studied things of the darker nature as well. So with what I do, I look into different religions, I look into anything that sparks my interest, anything that I need to know about the occult, right? So something that's been coming out a lot lately has been skinwalkers, right? A lot of people have been getting into that. That's basically a well, from what I know, it comes from the Navajo culture, but the other Indian cultures like the Hopi and everyone, all different ones have different names for what a skinwalker is. Now, see, what a skinwalker is basically a shapeshifter, right? A shapeshifter. But the way that they get these spiritual gifts is less than savory. They have to sacrifice somebody that's very close to them. So it would be somebody that they love dearly, 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 for the exchange of power, wealth, fame, success, whatever it is you desire, right? Whatever it is you desire. Anybody see that movie with Tom Cruise, Eyes Wide, and Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut, right? Okay, so what do? They go into those parties, right? And I was actually watching something on here where they talk about those parties. The kind of parties that Diddy throws. Nobody throws a party like a Diddy party. Well, Diddy more than likely has masonry ties, right? So this would be a masonry party. And at those parties, there's a lot that goes down. There's sacrificing of younger. There's a lot of satanic rituals that go on. Specifically, one place you could look into is Bohemian Grove. Look into what goes on there, right? There's trafficking. And there's orgies, like in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, right? And basically what happens is they want to see who is okay. They'll find people that are in industries like that because they want higher ups, people that could sway the population, they want on their payroll. So what they do, and what I was watching, was basically somebody was infiltrating this group. And what they do is something like kind of like a open door like thing. Like, so say somebody like asks for money, right? So they're gonna not ask. You're more likely to get your foot in the door and get more money if you ask for a smaller amount, right? So basically in that fashion, what they do is they start introducing nefarious acts, right? And seeing how far an individual will allow themselves to be exploited and their their values and principles, and anything that they were taught goes out the window, right? And it starts slow. They'll start, what will you partake in? We'll put all these things in front of you. And from what I understand, there's like different rooms, and you kind of progress as you accept doing more and more horrible things. It opens up. But my thing was Biggie, right? Biggie was the sacrifice. I don't know, it just like hit me. I kept seeing like the Ready to Die album this week for some reason. I had a kid in school with the shirt on that looked just like him. But today I was working out, and sometimes like all of a sudden I'll get downloads, and that's sometimes how you get downloads. People think that like the communication and visions are like so like prominent. No, it's sometimes you have to pay attention and learn what intuition actually is so that you could receive downloads. Sometimes you'll get them in movies. I had somebody that like once told me, like, they're like, what do you think movies are for you? Collectively, yes. Not specifically, but here's the thing with that. Don't you think that anything of creation, right? God is behind any part of creation, right? So if you think he sees the bigger picture to things, don't you think that he could have gave somebody what I call a download, an idea, a thought, a message from God as a prophet, a movie, an idea for a movie, ideas for songs, ideas for music, with the knowledge that God is so powerful that God knows, he sees, he's the beginning and the end. So anything in between he can see. He knows what's going to hit somebody's heart in the right moment at the right time. And that's all it takes. It's a well-placed thought. Thoughts are all you need to create a reality. It's where everything starts. Everything that you see in the world was once a thought. Whether it was a thought in a person, in a place, a thing, or if it was a thought of God's. So God can place something so perfectly. It's a divine orchestrated symphony. Life and the universe is, and how God works is perfectly unflawed. So yeah, movies, pay attention. Don't ever say it's just a movie, because anything that's a beauty of creation, of artwork, of something that comes from there it has God in it. Everything has God in it. You say that God is omnipresent, so you have to find it everywhere. So yeah, movies can spark that. So start paying attention and stop like chalking everything up to be fake. Everything's not fake. You can't pick and choose what you want to believe in. Like you can't just say like, oh, angels are real, but demons are not, right? Why? Because it makes you uncomfortable. That's like, if you pull that, like, you ever see the little kids when they want to pull the covers over their heads, and it like brings me back to the one robot chicken, and the monsters are like, they're like, oh man, we can't get him now because the covers are over his face, and then they beat him with a bat, and they're like, just kidding, gotcha anyway. So whether you think so or not, that goes back to that old proverbial saying of tree falls and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Does sound exist? If you're not there to acknowledge that sound is non-existent, is it still a sound? Does it still make a sound? And then you have to look at something that takes you even to a more abstract thought, which is even crazier, and think, what is sound? So if you weren't there to confirm that sound was something, would it stop being? Would it cease to exist? It just wouldn't have a name, right? So if something doesn't have a name, then what is it? Total mind F right there. You could go for days, but yeah, so,